Peace, love, and light, family. How you doing this morning? Grand Risings, 7:39 on Tuesday, December 17th. I'm just happy to be in this space, in this lifetime. Last night was a little hard for me. Nothing particularly went awry with the day. It was a great and productive day. That evening, I attended one of my poetry friends and mentors. He had a show at the library. They do Monday night poetry, and it was the last one for this year. And Brother Lord, this thing love to freeze. But anyways, I was just talking about my poet friend, Clement Mallory. Was a feature last night for poetry. It's usually called Poetry at the Park, but since it's evening time and cold now, they did it inside the public library. But anyways, it was great. It was good to see black love and just good energy. And then I came home and I just kind of was like a little down. I don't know why. So I'm glad to be alive. I'm feeling better. And I know herbs help in healing remedies. So we're going to continue this. I started just yesterday of reading about two different plants. And hopefully we'll come to an understanding of the value and the properties in plants and how to use them. So today we are on hops. This is what hops look like. HOPS. So you can look these things up on your own as I'm reading along. So the proper name for it is Humulus lupulus. Hops are the pale green cone-like fruits of a hardy twining vine native to Europe, Western Asia, and North America. They are probably best known by brewers and beer drinkers for giving aroma and flavor to beer. Interestingly enough, hops were originally added to beer for their natural preservative properties. Only later did they come to be valued for the bitter but agreeable taste they impart to the drink. The Romans ate the young shoots of the hops plants like asparagus, a practice that continued in rural parts of the British Isles well into the 20th century. The Roman physician Pliny the Elder named hops Lupus salicarius, which means willow wolf, and refers to the vine's habit of twining around other plants and strangling them like a wolf does to sheep. The plant species name, lupulus, is Latin for small wolf, a similar reference. Okay. Dang, this vine must really be choking some plants. Now let's look up. They have certain words that are highlighted that they have defined in the back. So let's look up. It had species highlighted. Lord have mercy. All right. Species, a level of classification in the plant kingdom below genus. I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it genus or genius? Let's see. Genus. Genus. Okay. So what's a genus? Genus is a level of classification in the plant kingdom below family. The first word of the two named Latin binomial, which is always capitalized. A level of classification in the plant kingdom below family. The first word of the two named Latin binomial, which is always capitalized. Okay. So, for example, see how this is capitalized? That's the genus. And then, so it's always a two-parter, but the first one is always capitalized. So the first one is the genus. Okay. And so a species is underneath that. So it must be family, then genus, then species, which is a level of classification in the plant kingdom below genus. Second name in the Latin binomial designating organisms in a genus. Okay, so the second part is the species. So So the first part with the capital is the genus, and the second part is the species. So that's good to know. So when you're studying up on herbs and stuff, and you're reading about them, well, what's the genus, and then what's the species? Okay, let's see. Are there any species that match? Because they got a whole thing in the back. Let's see. And it was all different. Okay, well, back to where we were at. So, the plant species name lupulus is Latin for small wolf, a similar reference. Hops were used medicinally in Europe and by Native Americans in North America. Of course, they used everything. Today, their greatest value in herbal medicine is as a calming, natural sedative. Hops has been put to numerous healing purposes over the centuries. Many Native American tribes use the herb to treat pain and insomnia. The Delaware applied small bags of heated hops leaves to aching teeth or ears. They also drank hops tea, as did the Cherokee, Mohegan, and Fox, to hasten sleep. In Europe, hops was used to ease pain in rheumatic joints, cure fevers, and treat heart conditions, diarrhea, and hysteria. Hops was renowned as a sedative. King George III of England, aka the king who lost America, is said to have slept on a pillow stuffed with hops to ease his porphyria, a condition that can cause anxiety and mental illness. What? Porphyria? Let me look this up. Never heard of that. Porphyria.
According to Mayo Clinic, disorders resulting from buildup of certain chemicals related to red blood cell proteins.
Okay. Porphyria is a group of disorders caused by an overaccumulation of porphyrin, which helps hemoglobin, the protein that carries oxygen in the blood. It's very rare. Treatment can't help, but this condition can't be cured. Chronic, can last for years or be lifelong. Needs emergency care. Symptoms vary depending on the specific type. Acute porphyrias affect the nervous system and other organs. Cutaneous porphyrias primarily affect the skin. Wow. Okay, learn something new. So the king was going through. Good Lord. King George III of England is said to have slept on a pillow stuffed with hops to ease his porphyria, a condition that can cause anxiety and mental illness. In modern herbal medicine, hops are valued for their soothing, sedative effect. Under a pillow, a sachet of dried hops is considered an effective tool for fighting insomnia and inducing sleep. Tea made from hops is good for calming nervous tension. The bitter flavor of hops is thought to help strengthen and stimulate digestion and may ease muscle spasm in the digestive tract associated with irritable bowel syndrome. So then it has a little timeline of, facts about the plant. So the female flower clusters on a hops vine called strobiles are the source of hops' healing properties. So plants be having certain parts in itself that be doing the healing. Like you got certain rooms in a house, you can only use the bathroom in the bathroom. And that's the purpose that it serves in that house. So that's kind of how plants work. The healing properties come from the strobiles. Not to say that the rest of the plant isn't useful, but as far as medicinal stuff, it's certain parts of the plant that is being used, which I think is really cool. God be just showing out. All right, so the line of usage and spread in 1067, year 1067, the oldest surviving written record of the use of hops in brewing dates from this year. We've been getting turned for centuries. 1428, hops are planted in English soil. In 1516, Wilhelm the what is that? The 1 and then the 5. Is that 4? Wilhelm the Fourth decrees all German beer must have malt, hops, and water. And by 1929, the Massachusetts Bay Company orders hop seeds shipped from England. Okay. Little facts about the plant. Now, so the fruiting bodies of common hops, known as strobiles, are famous for the bitter flavor they impart to beer. There are only 3 species in the small genus Humulus, all native to the northern hemisphere. Along with Humulus lupulus, there is an Asian species, Humulus japonicus, that is sometimes grown as an ornamental and is naturalized in some parts of North America. A third species was discovered recently in central China, deemed Humulus unanensis. Yep. Humulus unanensis. Common hops is a climbing perennial herbaceous vine. All right, let's look up herbaceous because it's highlighted. Herbaceous, a type of plant with little or no woody tissue, usually living a single season. So yesterday we learned from the first two chapters. Lydia, you inbox me, honey. I'm probably gonna forget as soon as I get off this live. Yesterday we learned herbaceous. Oh, about perennials. I didn't know that perennial meant that it came back every year. I'm used to hearing the word annual. So when I found that out, that's important to know because not all plants come back. So herbaceous is a type of plant with little or no woody tissue, usually living in a single season. All right. So common hops is a climbing perennial herbaceous vine. Wait a minute. Perennial means come back every year. Herbaceous just said it might come for a season. So maybe it comes back every year for a season. I don't get it. The leaves are stalked, opposite, and heart-shaped at the base with 3 to 7 lobes, typically with 3 major lobes. Ovate and circular. The leaves are about as wide as long, ranging from 2 to 4 inches broad and long. Male and female flowers grow on the same plant on separate branches. Okay. When female flowers mature into fruiting heads, hops, they are harvested and used for brewing beer in herbal medicine. So growing habits. Humulus lupulus and its varieties are found throughout the temperate northern hemisphere. Early European settlers to the American continent brought hops for planting in this plant material. H. lupulus var. lupulus, whatever, has naturalized in the northeast and adjacent Canada along roadsides, in waste places, and in moist thickets. This variety is also widely cultivated as a flavoring for alcoholic beverages. Now it has variety highlighted. Lord. Sorry. Yeah, let me just use my bookmark. A variety is a level of classification in the plant kingdom below species. Okay, so we have family, genus, species. Now we got variety. And subspecies, not noting minor differences within the species, such as variations in flower color, designated following the species and subspecies names by the abbreviation VAR. Okay, all right. That's what that meant. Okay. So this variety is also widely cultivated as a flavoring for alcoholic beverages. However, once Europeans arrived, they found hops already growing in America. 3 native varieties include H. lupulus var. Neo-Mexicanus. Most of the wild hops found in the western prairies, south to Arizona and north to Saskatchewan. Child, this word is going to take me out. Saskatchewan. H. lupulus var. pubescens, which grows in woods and wet thickets of the Midwest, and H. lupulus var. lupuloides, the main native strain in thickets and riverbanks of the Northeast. Good Lord. So here go another picture of, I guess, how it grows on these vines. It's just hanging down. And the man coming to chop it. So it says, prior to harvesting of hops vines, workers in British Columbia sever the strings holding vines to their supports. So the common name is hops. The scientific name is Humulus lupulus. The family is Cannabaceae. Parts used are the female flowers called strobiles, and its native range is the northern hemisphere. Alright, so let's get to some uses. Over the kitchen counter. Hop sleep pillow. While brewing a cup of skullcap bedtime tea, see page 47, assemble a hops pillow to ensure a good night's sleep. Pour 1 cup of fresh dried hops into a cotton or satin drawstring sachet bag available at most craft stores. Cinch the drawstring and tie it tightly. At bedtime, tuck beneath the pillowcase and snuggle in for a restful night. Cultivation and harvesting. Hops are a hardy perennial propagated by seeds or more frequently by dividing the rooting suckers. Hops likes a rich, well-drained garden soil with high humus to encourage vigorous growth. The genus name Humulus comes from the Latin humus, meaning soil, referring to the fact that if the plant is not supported on trellises, it sprawls over the ground. Typically, hops are supported with strings, fencing, or other structures to allow them to climb for easier harvest of the female fruits. Hops are widely grown in northern Europe and the United States. Large-scale commercial cultivation occurs in the Pacific Northwest and in adjacent British Columbia. Its therapeutic uses are for digestion, nervousness, insomnia, and menopause. And though most famous as an ingredient vital to brewing beer, hops has been used to improve appetite and digestion, relieve toothache and nerve pain, and treat insomnia around the world. It is said that Abraham Lincoln relied upon hops pillows to relax and improve sleep. Today, Germany's health authorities continue to approve the use of hops for discomfort due to restlessness or anxiety and sleep disturbances. Most of the scientific research evaluating the effectiveness of hops for anxiety and sleep has been conducted on a combination of hops and valerian, another popular sedative herb. 3 controlled studies have shown that this combination is more effective than placebo and similar in effectiveness to benzodiazepines, sleep medication. Benzodiazepines. For shortening, okay, so a sleep medication. Let me read that. So 3 controlled studies have shown that this combination is more effective than placebo and similar in effectiveness to benzodiazepines, which is sleep medication, for shortening the time it takes to fall asleep and for improving sleep quality. None of the studies reported any rebound insomnia when the participants stopped taking the herbs, nor excessive morning sleepiness. One area that is garnering attention is the potential use of hops for the relief of menopausal symptoms. Researchers have identified at least one key compound in hops, 8-prenylnaringenin, linked to significant hormonal activity. A 6-week study in menopausal women found that a standardized hops extract decreased the number of hot flashes, night sweats, and insomnia. Another study found that a topically applied gel containing hyaluronic acid, vitamin E, and hops extract significantly improve vaginal dryness in postmenopausal women. Hops might prove to be an attractive option to conventional hormone therapy, but more research is needed to determine long-term safety. So how to use hops? You can use it in a tea. Steep 1 teaspoon of hop strobiles, female flowers, in 1 cup of water for 5 to 7 minutes. Add honey to taste. Drink 30 minutes before bed. You could take them in capsules, 500 milligrams, 1 to 3 times daily, often taken in combination with valerian root or a tincture. 2 milliliter tincture 1 to 3 times daily. Some precautions. Given the potential for increased hormonal activity stimulated by hops, women who had breast cancer or who are at risk for it should avoid hops until more is known. Safety in pregnancy is not known. Hops may have sedative effects, so driving or operating heavy machinery should not be attempted while using hops. Okay, because it's going to put you to sleep. All right, I need to hit up one of my friends that I know have dealt with insomnia. Now we're on Kava. Look at that beautiful leaf. Kava. The proper term, Piper methysticum. During his second voyage across the Pacific Ocean in the 1770s, Captain James Cook encountered the inhabitants of several Pacific islands drinking a thick, bitter brew made from the pounded rhizome of a robust tropical plant. The native islanders called it kava, a word that may be derived from the Hawaiian name for the plant, awa, which means bitter. Kava's preparation was unique. The rhizomes were chewed by a child or young woman, spat out into a container, and then mixed with water or coconut milk until the proper consistency was achieved. What? A few sips of kava left a person's mouth slightly numb and entire body infused with a feeling of calm contentment. Drunk in large quantities, it produced a state of euphoria. Kava is believed to have originated in Melanesia and spread from there to other Pacific islands. It was originally a drink reserved for royalty or served to honored guests, as it was to cook and members of his crew. Kava also had great religious significance. By drinking it, the islanders believed that they could gain access to the spirit realm of both ancestors and gods. The ritual use of kava continues on a number of Pacific islands today. On almost every island where kava grew, islanders also employed it medicinally. Its primary use was in relieving nervous tension and elevating mood. Taken in larger quantities, kava induces sleep, and so was taken as a cure for insomnia. People also drank kava as a health-promoting tonic and to combat fatigue, alleviate weakness, and treat chills and colds. Islanders chewed the rhizomes to relieve headache pain. Let's look up rhizomes, which I believe means root. Rhizome, a somewhat elongated, usually horizontal, subterranean plant stem, often thickened by deposits of reserved food material that produces shoots above and roots below. Distinguished from a true root is having buds, nodes, and usually scale-like leaves. Okay, so it sounds like it's that the part of the plant that's in the space between the roots and the plant. So like when I was reading up on ginger, it was saying that it's a rhizome. It just kept calling it that. This word is spelled rhizome, a rhizome. And it was saying something about how like the ginger that we buy in the store and stuff is the rhizome, but it does sprout like a flowering plant, but there are still roots underneath the ginger. Cool deal. Let me put that into Google and see if it breaks it down a little further. Make sure I'm correct. Rhizome. A continuously growing horizontal underground stem which puts out lateral shoots in advantageous intervals. Let's get some pictures. Okay. Y'all can Google this later too. I don't know how it shows up, but so you got your rhizome, which is like the ginger, the brown part. Then you got the shoot or the plant, whatever's growing, but then you still got some roots underneath it. So it's like that in between the plant and the roots. Ain't that cool? We learning something new today, y'all. My nephew in the background. Okay. It's another picture of the ginger, the shoot, and then the little roots underneath it. Okay, that's what's up. So, back to the story. People also drank kava as a health-promoting tonic and to combat fatigue, alleviate weakness, and treat chills and colds. A lot of these plants be used for like one main thing, but it still do like a ton of other things that a lot of these other plants do. I feel like you take any herb and it'll fix whatever problem you got, is what it sounds like to me. Alleviate weakness and treat chills and colds. Islanders chewed the rhizomes to relieve headache pain. Now, we learned yesterday that, not feverfew, but butterbur was good for some headaches. Yep, it sure was. Migraine headaches. Alright, Captain Cook went on to introduce kava to Europe. However, it wasn't until the 1990s. I thought it was going to say 1990s. That's when I was born. It wasn't until then that the herb became popular in the West. Today, it is used in herbal medicine as an alternative to prescription medications in treating symptoms associated with anxiety, nervous tension, and depression without disrupting mental clarity. It may help reduce symptoms of anxiety associated with menopause and premenstrual syndrome. Herbal practitioners also recommend kava for insomnia and certain types of sleep disorders. Alright, so it gives us a little timeline at the end about the plant. So it says Kava's heart-shaped leaves grow from gnarled aromatic roots used medicinally and ceremonially for centuries. In 1777, a naturalist on Cook's second Pacific voyage describes kava preparation in detail, about the children chewing them up and spitting them in a bowl and mixing it with water and coconut milk. What the? In 1992, Hillary Clinton participates in kava ceremony conducted by Samoans in Hawaii. Why they? Okay. In 2002, European, British, and Canadian authorities banned kava sales. Wow. And by 2008, the ban on kava in European countries is lifted. So it took y'all 6 years to decide. Oh, okay. Oh, y'all, look, I can't wait. This is a picture of it. All that spit and coconut milk. Okay, so the genus Piper includes more than 1,000 species of tropical herbs, shrubs, lianas, and small trees, the most familiar of which is Piper nigrum. Wait a minute, am I still on? Yep. Source of the black pepper of commerce. Piper is the classical Latin name for pepper. Kava, P. methodisticum, is a shrub found on a number of islands in the South Pacific where the root is used ceremonially to prepare a somewhat intoxicating and medicinal beverage. Kava is typically harvested when it is 6 to 8 feet in height, but left to grow, it can reach up to 20 feet. It is a much branched, robust plant. The stems somewhat succulent, hairless, and with distinct swollen nodes. The alternate leaves range from broadly heart-shaped to nearly circular in outline with prominent veins underneath. The deep green leaves are mostly smooth above with lighter coloration and fine hairs beneath. They are typically 4 to 10 inches wide and 4 to 8 inches long. The leaf stalk is up to 2 inches long and is winged for about half its length. The flowers are often terminal, either solitary or in small groups. It is not known to produce viable seed. The most important part of the plant is the strongly aromatic root, which has many rootlets. Growing habits. Yes, honey. I read earlier. Let me read it again now. Oh, okay. So it said the native islanders called it kava, a word that may be derived from the Hawaiian name for the plant awa, which means bitter. Kava's preparation was unique. The rhizomes, I had stopped and did a whole spiel on that, which is the part in between the root and the sprout is the rhizome, were chewed by a child or a young woman, spat out into a container, and then mixed with water or coconut milk until the proper consistency was achieved, which is what this is. Spit stew. Child, no. So, the flowers are often terminal, either solitary or in small groups. It is not known to produce viable seed. The most important part of the plant is the strongly aromatic root, which has many rootlets. Growing habits. Botanists deem kava a cultigen, a plant that has evolved over a long period of time under cultivation by humans. One theory is that it's originally derived from Piper wickmani, native to the islands of Vanuatu, which is where the greatest diversity of kava varieties is currently found. Kava has been cultivated by Pacific Islanders for at least 3,000 years. Many local varieties are found throughout tropical Pacific Islands. Cultivation and harvesting. Kava cannot be grown in temperate climates except in the greenhouse. On Pacific Islands, it is grown in traditional multi-crop agricultural systems, usually partially shaded beneath taller plants such as bananas. The plant requires adequate shade, wind protection, and fairly high temperatures and high humidity. It likes a deep, friable soil that is rich in humus, which is good soil, and well drained. Free movement of air and moisture is essential. Kava is propagated by stem cuttings. The root, weighing 10 to 100 pounds fresh, is harvested after 3 or 4 years growth. Its therapeutic uses is for anxiety and menopause. Kava, native to the South Pacific Islands, has been used medicinally and ceremonially for centuries. In 1877, the Parke-Davis Pharmaceutical Company introduced Kava to the Western world. Today, it is predominantly used to relieve tension and anxiety. Anxiety affects approximately 40 million Americans in a given year and can be very disruptive to an individual's life. There are many strategies for relieving anxiety, such as meditation and breathing exercises, as well as medications such as benzodiazepines. This word is doing me in, honey. And it's highlighted, so let's see what it's talking about. Benzodiazepine, a class of medications that act upon the central nervous system to reduce communication among certain neurons, lowering the level of activity in the brain. Benzodiazepines are effective in reducing anxiety, promoting sleep, and relaxing muscles. Okay. So there are many strategies for relieving anxiety, such as meditation and breathing exercises, as well as medications such as benzodiazepines. Kava has been subjected to rigorous human clinical trials and shown to be as powerful as prescription anti-anxiety drugs. There have been at least 11 published studies confirming its effectiveness. 2 smaller studies show that Kava reduced anxiety and irritability when improving sleep in women going through menopause. So, getting to the facts of how to use it. Over the kitchen counter, Kava cocoa shake. In a small bowl, pour 1 cup of hot, low-fat milk or soy milk over 1 teaspoon of dried kava root. Let it steep for at least 10 minutes. Hey, what's the matter? You good? Stop it, please. Thank you. Let it steep for at least 10 minutes. Strain the liquid through some cheesecloth or a piece of muslin into a blender. Add 1 teaspoon of low-fat coconut milk, 4 teaspoons of chocolate syrup, and 1 cup of ice. I won't be following this recipe. Might do some cacao powder. Blend on high for 30 to 60 seconds. Pour it into a glass and enjoy a stress-relieving chocolate shake. Okay. So, in kava-consuming countries, the fresh beverage is traditionally served in drinking vessels made from coconut shells. That's pretty cool. So, its common name is kava, scientific name Piper methysticum. Family is the Piperaceae. I'm probably not saying that right. Parts used is the rhizomes and the roots, and the native range is South Pacific Islands. Excuse me. While there is little question about Kava's effectiveness, there are questions regarding its safety. Kava was banned in the United Kingdom and in several European countries after concerns that it might cause liver damage. In a number of cases, people taking Kava extracts had laboratory abnormalities in liver function tests, and some went into liver failure. While the numbers were very small, given the widespread use of Kava in both Europe and the United States, a number of regulatory agencies decided that any risk was too much. Kava is still available for sale in the United States, though the Food and Drug Administration has asked doctors to report possible cases immediately. Traditionally, Kava was made into a tea by adding